Hey guys, you can now support this show and make your life 50% better by going to patreon.com/The System Is Down and signing up for the Downers Club, where you're going to get access to a plethora of wild, crazy, and often offensive bonus audio and video episodes of the show on a weekly basis. For more information, just go to patreon.com/The System Is Down. The following is a Goulash Media production. goulashmedia.net.
My family is exactly like the Brady Bunch. We may not be perfect, but my father did die from AIDS. That's my opener.
Welcome to the System Is Down.
Well, welcome back to the show. The question of the day is there any topic that should not be joked about? Is there any joke that shouldn't be said? Is there a line that should not be crossed? Or is a joke a good joke if it's funny no matter what it's about? Let me know. And what's up, Downers? Welcome back to the least comfortable show on the web, The System Is Down, where we talk about all the uncomfortable topics like conspiracies, politics, religion, and all the things that people just hate that we keep bringing up. That's why we do it. We're here to have the conversations that others dare not have. And if you're new here, go find the person who invited you and give them a big kiss on the mouth from me, a big kiss on the mouth from you, and a slap on the rear from the two of us together, because you're going to enjoy this episode. I guarantee it, or your money back. And this episode is my conversation with the illustrious Brian McWilliams of Electric Liberty Land, which is a part of the Lions of Liberty podcast. You're probably familiar with their show. They've all three of them, Brian, John, and Mark, have been on my show several times. So good friends of the show, and I wanted to have Brian back on to talk about what's going on in our culture with this whole social justice warrior, touchy-feely, we can't talk about this, we can't joke about that. Brian is a comedian of sorts, and his show is focused on culture, comedy, and liberty, so I thought he'd be a great person to have come on and talk about the state of comedy right now and the state of our culture in entertainment and media and whether or not there is a line. We're going to jump into that here in about 30 seconds, but before we do, got to remind you guys about the Downers Club. The Downers Club is our patron program. It is what keeps the show going, what keeps my visuals here looking beautiful. And you can join the Downers Club for as little as a cup of coffee a month by going to patreon.com/The System Is Down, and you'll get a bunch of bonus audio content and video content every single week, and a whole bunch of other fun stuff, free merch, discounts, different things. So go check that out at patreon.com/The System Is Down. All right, yeah, so not a whole lot to say here because I feel like Brian and I covered a lot of ground, and I really enjoyed the conversation. I hope you do as well. That being said, I will see you guys on the other side of the episode. And, here's my conversation with Brian. Let's get weird. Well, today we're here to talk about the joys of political correctness and the marvelous impact it has had on our entertainment and our culture. And to discuss this matter, I am joined by a man who likely has his finger kind of on the pulse of culture a little bit more than I do. It's his second time on the show now, and I'm stoked to have him back. He's the host of the culture, comedy, and liberty podcast called Electric Liberty Land on the Lions of Liberty podcast. That's a lot of liberties. The one and only Brian McWilliams.
Yeah, what's up, man?
How's it going?
Yeah, make sure to get the S in there. Yeah, great to be back on the show. And if you're wondering, I have my fingers in a lot of things, a lot of places, a lot of people, a lot of pulses. And you know why? If people don't know this, great place to feel someone's pulse inside the anus. So if you ever wonder if they're alive or dead, a finger up the ass will illuminate you on many levels.
I like how on a podcast episode where we're talking about, jokes and political correctness and stuff like that, you start with a finger up the ass joke within the first 15 seconds of talking.
Not only that, but could also be interpreted as a necrophilia joke in some circles.
All right. Well, yeah, that's a great way to kick it off, I think. Brian, give a little bit of quick background for those who aren't familiar with you. Like, what's your background in culture, comedy, liberty, and like what makes you qualified to give an opinion on this topic?
Sure. So, yeah, my background, I'm a public relations executive for a living. My podcasting career has unfortunately not paid the bills to that extent. But so I deal on a daily basis going through news, going through culture, and I work a lot with the entertainment industry as well. So, on a daily basis, I got to pay attention to the trends within the industry, what's going on. Not only that, I do stand-up comedy on the side. So I'm deeply embedded within the comedic world, especially here in Los Angeles. And of course, I have my podcast examining all of these things and the juxtaposition between liberty, culture, comedy, and everything else for the Lions of Liberty. So, my podcast now is about a year and change old, but my PR I've been doing for 15 plus years and comedy for about 6 years now.
Sure. Gotcha. Now let's start off with the comedy. Like, what have you seen, especially you're out in California where things are a little bit even more PC than they are here. But like, what are some of the things that you've seen or witnessed, or have you run into anything personally that has been boundary pushing as the boundaries narrow?
Well, I haven't run into anything personally because I think a lot of the comedy show I do, I run the show. So it's, the people coming know what they're into and know what they're in for. And I think that still a lot of shows that can exist within that realm. If you know what you're getting into, you're pretty much okay. Mm-hmm. But what does happen from time to time is you'll get people that are in a public forum. I do mine at a bar. So you can have people walking in who aren't expecting to get hit in the face with comedy that may be pushing the boundaries, that may be about necrophilia or pedophilia. I mean, I used to do a joke wherein, I'll just tell the joke. So it was basically at the time when Cheryl Burke, who was on Dancing with the Stars. I don't know if you watched that show or are familiar with her.
No. Sorry.
No? All right. I'm not surprised. So this is...
I'm sure it's great. I'm sure
8 years ago. Yeah. So Cheryl Burke's one of the dancers. It's a very attractive girl. And so I had gone on stage and made the joke. I said, Cheryl Burke just came out and she said she was molested as a child, which is terrible. Unless you're the guy that molested her and you've been keeping track all these years, then you're kind of like, hey, who knows how to pick him? This guy does. Yep. So that was the basic concept of the joke, and it kind of went on from there. Mm-hmm. But, I don't know if I would necessarily tell that joke on stage, because while I'd love to, it's in the climate now you go, oh, Jesus, if this is something that people are going to blow up, is it going to be a detriment to my career to tell this joke? Now, that being said, I've told other pedophilia jokes on stage recently, so I haven't learned my lesson. But let's hear
the most recent ones.
Oh, God.
Let's hear the fresh pedophilia jokes.
I got to remember because I just write them as I go.
Sure.
I honestly can't remember because it was a couple of months ago I told it. But in general, though, you do see comedians reining it in. And the thing that you see most often is comics that used to be boundary pushers, the Sarah Silvermans of the world, for instance, who were on the edge of comedy that would say anything, now being on the flip side, they're attacking people, and they are the people that seem to be trying to censor others. So You're seeing a lot of that in comedy, the flip side of things in the Trump era.
Yeah, it's making things so damn serious, and it's very hypocritical because the people who are saying, words hurt, words are attacking people, and that type of thing. It's totally fine for them to attack anybody on the right who's saying something that they disagree with. But if they are even being pressed, like not even comedians, like people in political spheres, like Milo Yiannopoulos, Stephen Crowder, Shapiro, Rubin, stuff like that. If somebody disagrees with you now, then that hurts you, but you're allowed to call them whatever nefariousness you want to. I don't understand where that line.
Oh yeah, well, like a good recent example is the banning of Jeffrey Van Buren? No, last name's Van Buren, but he was someone who was a whistleblower for I think he used to be a member of the I can't remember exactly, not the FBI, but some high level government institution. So he was a turnaround. He would be maybe he was a press secretary or something like that, would lie to the media, they'd eat it up with a spoon, and then he turned whistleblower. And so what happened is on Twitter, one of these journalists attacks him and goes, "Hey man, you're human garbage." And he responded by saying, "I hope a MAGA guy eats your face," which, is a humorous thing to say, and certainly not a direct assault on somebody. It's not a threat in any way. You're just hoping something happens. And the guy turns around and reports this dude for trying to
as
censor
right-wing
him.
cannibal.
Yeah, right. Yeah, exactly. It's being a right-wing cannibal, breaking Twitter's conduct of code. So, but he gets this guy Van Buren thrown off Twitter. His account's deleted because he went and snitched to Big Papa Corporate. Meanwhile, he had called the guy a piece of human garbage. He instigated this back and forth, and then he can't take the most mild of humorous insults. Right. And you see more and more of that shit, especially the left attacking the right. There's a huge double standard going on.
Yeah. For you, do your politics play into the comedy that you do at all on stage?
Yeah, at times it does. I mean, I would say it plays into. I guess if I'm going to do a Trump joke, if I'm going to do a joke making fun of conservatives or libertarian concepts, maybe it takes a little bit more for me to think it's funny than I would necessarily. For example, if you're a liberal, you'd say the word Trump and people just laugh at it. Meanwhile, I know that easy joke's out there. Yeah, but I don't want to say it because it seems below or beneath me. Meanwhile, I do find opportunity to tell some libertarian jokes. I actually have a lot of fun talking about how oddly autistic libertarians are when addressing libertarian audiences and joking about that. I mean, I was talking to the LA convention recently and just, did the kind of joke, the old college cliche professor in the movies from the 80s where you go, look at your person to your left and the person to your right. One of you will fail this class. Mm-hmm. I did a similar take with libertarians, just saying, look to your left and look to your right. Nobody fucking likes you, which is true because everybody hates libertarians. So I'm able to work it in that way. But in a mainstream sense, while maybe on my Twitter account, I will try to make some jokes. When I'm on stage, I don't really go too deep into politics, but that's also just my sense of humor isn't necessarily gravitate towards politics anyway, though, despite having a show that focuses on politics and comedy.
Right. So is there anything that you do, like something that you want to have in your act that you take out intentionally because you don't want to deal with the backlash?
Well, yeah, man. I mean, I used to do a lot more jokes about race than I do now. Just mocking everything, any race. I had jokes about white people. I had jokes about, and now I'll still tell jokes about white people. The time, like I have a joke called, it says I want to create a magazine called White Soul Magazine, which is a magazine for white people reincarnated as black people, or any other minority. Yep. And that one I'll leave it because it's kind of a joke about white people's egos. Or I'll keep in a joke about how you never will see white people rioting in the streets because there's too many brunch spots that they'll pass along the way. Wait, jokes against white people are fine, but I'll rein in some other jokes.
That's not racism.
Yeah, true, man. I mean, shit, I'll take a brunch right now. But jokes where they play into other races, I might rein in. I mean, actually, I had one guy say that. Actually, his girlfriend got upset at me because I told this joke, which is the most innocuous joke, and it was Halloween time. And I said, it's great. I love trick-or-treating. I love candy, but I can't stand when you get, the yellow candies because who likes Asian flavor? And it's a funny enough joke. Right. And this girl got so pissed off. She's like, my boyfriend is Asian and you said this joke. And I'm like, oh, for fuck's sake, man. So, I rein in.
Of course, it's not her being Asian. She knows somebody who's Asian.
Well, isn't that always the way it is?
Yeah, exactly.
It's never the people that are getting upset. It's always the people getting upset for other people.
Right. I'm outraged about. I'm outraged for them because they don't have a voice. I'm giving them a voice as a privileged white person.
Yeah, right. It's like, don't you have anything better to do? That's how you are privileged, when you're bitching about other people just for the sake of bitching.
So, we've had a lot of shit going around in comedy where people are getting fired from different things, different squabbles going on with like Roseanne, Kathy Griffin, Samantha Bee, stuff like that. And then we've got like Hannah Gadsby, who just put out this special that's basically supposed to be a comedy special, won awards as a comedy special. It's basically a TED Talks about how she hates comedy.
Yeah, I haven't watched that yet. Did you get to watch it?
I've watched like half of it, and I've watched reviews. It's like a really boring TED Talk, in my opinion. It has a couple funny jokes that land, but I mean, at least the second half of it is just her making people feel bad that they listened to what she was saying before. I don't know. It's hard to figure out what's going on.
Well, this is the saddest thing about the world we live in today is that, and you see this with so much comedy. These people, have turned, and Sarah Silverman's a good example. Patton Oswalt's a great example of this. Mm-hmm. They've given up on being fucking comedians, and now they're social commenters, and they think that that's the same thing. And it's clearly not. And it's a sad. I mean, you got to where you are. Like, granted, look, if you put in the time, whatever, do whatever the fuck you want with your time, but let's not pretend that it's comedy anymore.
Right.
And people shouldn't treat it as such. You should get a massive pay cut, and maybe you should rethink your choices because, you've got these people that are judging. Like I'll give a plug for this comedian friend of mine named Ryan Stout. And he has an Instagram feed he started called You Hate Jokes. And basically what it is, he takes all of the news headlines, and Hannah Gatsby or Hannah, whatever her name was one of them. And he'll just, tweet about how people are attacking jokes and attacking the ability to make jokes on a consistent basis. And it's just ongoing. And he does it in a really brilliant fashion. So if you have a chance, check that out because he's just nailing it. It's a nonstop assault on everyone and anything that it basically used as a pulpit now for pushing this progressive social agenda.
Right. Yeah. And I mean, do you think that there is a line? I mean, when we're going through these different celebrities, like, do you think Roseanne deserved to be fired? We don't have to spend a bunch of time on each one, but do you think Roseanne should have been fired? Samantha Bee should have been fired? Kathy Griffin, all these people? Or...
Well, you know what? Kathy Griffin didn't have a job to begin with, I don't think, right? So it's hard to fire her.
That's pretty fair, yeah. If anything, it revived her career.
You froze, or I froze. One of us froze.
We froze.
Oh, sorry, you froze on me there for a second.
Yeah, I said, if anything, it revived Kathy Griffin's career far more than what she was doing before.
Yeah, exactly. So, but in regards to Roseanne, no, I don't think she should have been fired. I think that I actually believe her claim that she didn't know that she was African American, which makes sense. But I think, talk to her, suspend her for a little while, and then bring her back. Let her apologize. Like, no one's allowed to apologize anymore. Right. It's just you're tried and convicted. The second the news breaks, you're done. Your career's over. I mean, Matt Lauer, I guess, is an exception. Chris Hardwick is an exception. Although, I don't know how far down the rabbit hole of this you want to go, but I would also argue that a lot of this outrage in celebrities, especially comedians like Aziz Ansari, got in trouble for what I would argue was a 100% consensual encounter. I'm sorry. Yeah, Louis C.K. is a different story. But again, you're right though. They went to his room. Now you shouldn't be expected to have a dick whipped out in front of you, but you kind of know. And you could leave. He didn't assault you. If as soon as he whips his dick out, why don't you just be like, fuck off and leave? Right. And then call him on it and let him apologize. So
if he stopped you, that's a crime.
Right.
If he doesn't stop you, that's not a crime.
Exactly, man. So, I don't think anybody should be summarily fired for these things unless it's like, oh, well, you raped somebody and there's proof and here you go. Now, being in PR, I understand though, you want to try to get ahead of a story, but you're basically just lining up sacrificial lambs, and you don't know what the outcome's going to be of this. You're going to look very stupid if it comes out these people are exonerated later. And in the meantime, you're losing tons of people that are watching the show for what? This vocal minority of outrage SJW assholes.
Yeah. So they're bringing back the Roseanne show. They're just going to do it without her. What are your thoughts on this great idea?
I think it's going to fail. I hate to say it because there's a lot of people working on it, but I think it's going to fail miserably.
I would have to agree. And I think that was one of the great things about Roseanne was that when she came back, she was pushing the line in a time where, I mean, it wasn't a hardcore right-wing show or anything. It just showed both sides, the goods and the bads. And I thought that was fantastic. And of course, that lasted all of 6 weeks, and then she's a racist. Get out of here.
Right. Dude, look at Vincent D'Onofrio. I don't know if you saw his tweet recently, but he just tweeted like a couple days ago. He's like, "Should I play a irredeemable racist as a character in today's climate?" And it's like, well,
it's a character.
It's a fucking character. Yes, you should play it. And also, how
are we only supposed to hire racists to play racist parts in movies now?
Yeah, right.
Are we giving the racist more jobs? I'm confused.
You're gonna have more people being racist. They're like, "Well, my ticket to Hollywood is gonna get cash, man. I just need to run around saying I hate the blacks."
Right. Nobody else is willing to admit it. They just think it.
Right. So it's all just it's absurd. And I was talking to God, I can't remember who I was talking to about this recently, but the concept also that, you've got, so look at comedians and the way that comedians perform. They, it's constructed routines you're basically playing a character, same with actors on TV, but you're constructing narratives around these jokes that involve you doing something heinous or a story that involves someone else doing something heinous. And the joke is in that context. No one's going out and actually fucking their sister. Yeah. So you're creating characters, and just like novelists do, you don't have people that are writing novels that have racist characters in them being decried as actual racist and being blackballed from speaking at colleges.
You also don't have like Stephen King when he's writing in the dialogue for a black guy, insists that a black guy come in and write the dialogue.
Yeah, exactly right, man. It's like, so you've got this concept where it's a complete double standard, especially where comedy is involved, where you're not allowed to have an imagination. You're not allowed to play a character any longer.
Right. Yeah. Do you think that there is any kind of line when we're talking about tweets and stuff like that, or even jokes? We've got like James Gunn, who's got all these like seemingly pedophile tweets and stuff like that, even Patton Oswalt and all them. Do you think that there is a line there where they should be, at least looked into a little bit more because of the shady stuff, or do you think that it's all just jokes?
It's just jokes, man. Freedom of speech is to throw out there. Now, you could say, well, should the FBI investigate him because of his tweets? I would argue no. We already have that shit happening in the UK where people post something on Facebook that's interpreted as hate speech, and then the FBI goes and kicks in their door. So, no, I think there is no line. I think that the only danger is that, and it's the danger that's always existed with humor, is that someone's not going to get the joke and they're going to go tattle. Now, the problem is in today's society with social media, everything gets amplified 4,000 times, and the insanely progressive media is more than happy to jump on. Not even the progressive media, because now the conservative media are doing it. So all media is looking to jump on these people and make them the latest pariah. So, should there be a line? No. There's no line comedy shouldn't cross. Everything is in bounds. That's the whole purpose of comedy, is to challenge social norms. And without comedy, you might not have the glorious fucking society that we have today. And it's going to be regressive once people complete this crackdown they're trying to do. You're going to live in a homogenous society that's going to be quite more difficult to move forward in any way.
Yeah, Brian, who's your favorite North Korean comedian?
Oh God, well, Kim Jong Unfunny is my favorite.
You're talking about. I think that's the only difference between us and the downfall of North Korea, is that we're allowed to make jokes about whatever we want, including killing a North Korean dictator.
There is, I guarantee you, at least some modicum of truth to that statement, man.
Very nice. So no lines. Do you think that there are lines? Do you think that there is a such thing as hate speech where somebody's just say they go on stage to talk to a crowd and they're literally just lambasting one person for being black, let's say, or a woman or something like that, and that's their whole bit is just being a douchebag? Do you think that there are lines that should not be crossed?
Nope. Those people do exist, by the way. Crowd work comics do exist. I've seen them and I've seen it happen, but no, there's still no line there. And hate speech in general, there's no such thing as hate speech. It's an invented concept. The problem with hate speech and all these things is it's 100% subjective. Mm-hmm. There's no objective definition of hate speech that you can use and point to, because it all depends on the context of everything. And all we have is lost context in the world right now. So yeah, if you're a comedian, you go and you want to bust on somebody for being black, do it. If it's funny,
see how it goes.
Yeah. Well, literally, man, tell me how many black comedians go and make fun of white people directly to their face in comedy clubs? Happens. Yeah. I guarantee over the country 9,000 times a night. Easily.
And you know who finds those jokes the most funny?
White people.
The white guys. Yeah.
Oh, of course.
You're absolutely right. But if you flip it around, it's like, stereotypes are typically just an observation of what happens a lot. And it's totally fine to have a stereotype against white people. And we're just like, yeah. And also this about you. Wait, no, never mind. Just kidding.
Yeah. Well, it's like, and by trying to fight back against stereotypes and making them so taboo and third rail, all you do is further ingrain them, because all everybody's thinking all the time is that, I can't say that Asians are bad drivers now because that's a stereotype, but you're still thinking it all the time because I don't know if I've a big deal about it.
Right. I don't know if I've ever seen an Asian paid attention to their driving in my entire life to think I never would have had the thought Asians are bad drivers if somebody didn't say, don't say Asians are bad drivers.
Right, yeah, exactly. And it's just like that kind of shit continues. And the more, and I was just talking about this on my show yesterday, actually, with Laura Crawford, another comedian friend of mine. But, the more you're going to limit what people can and can't say, too. I mean, it's not like you're actually going to stop people from saying this shit.
Right.
Just like when you ban cocaine, it's been illegal forever. You know what? People still do a lot of cocaine.
And it should be a lot easier to stop people from making and distributing cocaine than it is to make them stop opening their mouth in a certain way.
Right. Yeah. So it's like everything's going to continue anyway. It's a zero-sum game where no one's going to actually win. It's just going to be a blanket gag order on everybody, but people are just going to go to the darker corners of the internet or go to their secret societies and tell all the jokes about minorities that they want.
Yeah. Everybody's saying that words are violence. I want to make a shirt that says, if words are violence, then violence is murder across the board. All violence. You get charged for murder. If we're bumping words up to violence, then let's bump everything up a notch. All right.
Yeah.
So how many years do you think it'll be before, and I'm kind of surprised this even still exists, before the roast battles and the Comedy Central roast and stuff like that? Like these are, especially the roast battles, they're 100% just knocking people for their race or fatness or being sluts and stuff like that. Everything is on the table in for the sake of humor.
Sorry, I had to yell at my dog.
No problem. Do you like my shirt? You might find this a little offensive.
Oh, God. Chloe, read this. What do you think of that?
There you go.
Says,
just so you know.
God. you.
For the listeners, I am currently wearing my Dogs Are Literally Hitler shirt that you can get in the System Is Down merch shop at tsidpod.com/shop. Anyway, back to where we were. Where were we?
We were talking about
the Comedy Central roasts and roast battles and stuff like that. These are 100% just bashing on minorities, bashing on disfigurements, or everything's on the table for the sake of a joke, and it's understood this is a joke, and I'm not a racist.
There was such
people get away with everything.
There was such a great joke recently. It was like a very, very lesbian comedian on stage, and the other girl had made fun of her, saying, "You have Lena Dunham body." And I thought that was great.
And you have Jeff Dunham's face. I watched that today, actually.
Did you?
Yeah.
Oh, it's awesome. Yeah, it's fantastic. And I mean, a good job to Comedy Central. They did cancel Anthony Jeselnik's show, which pissed me off immensely because Jeselnik was at the forefront of insulting un-PC comedy.
He's still quite possibly my favorite comedian.
Oh, I'm with you, man. I absolutely love him. He's a genius. It's Comedy Central is doing a good job between South Park, which you and we have to do our South Park recap show if you're up for it again.
Next season doesn't come out till sometime in 2019. They're really dragging their feet.
Are you sure? I thought it was this September.
I could be wrong, but I think I looked it up about a month ago, and they said not coming until 2019.
Ah, crazy. Oh, well. But yeah, between South Park and the roast battles and the general roast, they're doing a pretty good job, although I think even we're seeing the roasts, not roast battle, but the roast of X. Those are being reined into. Those are far less aggressive and mean than they used to be.
Except for when Ann Coulter, when she was on there, it was like she was the one being roasted by every single person. Everybody had their Nazi joke. Everybody had an anti-Trump joke. Like 100%, she was. They never gave a nice word to her in any capacity, but the rest of them are reining it back a little bit on what they'll say to each other.
Oh, totally. Yeah. It's just too bad Patrice O'Neill, one of the funniest comedians ever and one of the best crusaders for you can say whatever the fuck you want, whenever you want to say it. And just a defender of making black jokes, making fat jokes, because he's fat and black. He died of diabetes. And he was like, no, man, you can say whatever you want. He was defending Don Imus. And Imus saying that the chick she looked like a nappy-headed hoe during his show. And he's like, yeah, you can say it. He's like, I laughed. It was a funny thing to say. It's like, if it's funny, it plays. And all you're doing is inhibiting people from being able to think about it. Even myself, dude, I'll tell you this for a fact. Living in LA, so I'm a Philly guy, still got a little bit of the accent. Living in LA for 15 years, I can tell you I am dumber. I am stupider. My wit has been dulled. I'm telling you for a fact since the time I moved here. Because it's happened over the time wherein my brain has recircuited itself to nip off a lot of the more extreme jokes that I would come up with immediately before because people were such little bitches here. And yes, my fellow Californians, you're sensitive little bitches. They would get so upset by the smallest insults. And for, East Coasters, we crack on each other all the time. It's like a rite of passage. You're growing up, you're busting balls. And I remember I told a guy, I was like, you keep talking like that, I would come out there and put my balls on top of your head. Clearly a joke. Clearly leverage. The guy didn't want to fucking talk to me, for the rest of the week, and it's just idiotic. So I've curtailed that, and you're going to see that on a macro level now because on Twitter you just got people waiting, these pathetic assholes who have nothing better to do but wait on Twitter to pounce on somebody that dare speak the wrong word.
Right. Yeah, and I mean, comedy is like a giant steak. You want it all this time, and you don't get it all that often. When you finally get it, it's fantastic. And we're taking that steak and we're cutting it, whittling it down little by little until it's just this little piece in the middle, and then we're taking bubble wrap and putting that in our mouths before we eat it to make sure it doesn't burn our mouths when we put it in there. It's like, just give me the steak back. Like the line that, or it's not even a line, it's this spectrum that you're allowed to talk in of our language, like that is
let me clean up this
getting smaller and smaller.
Let me clean up this metaphor. So comedy is a steak. And you know what? People should be able to have the steak, and you cook the steak however you want. If you want your steak fucking rare, that's your comedy. If you want your steak well done, that's your choice. That's your comedy steak. But yeah, like you're saying, not everybody should have to have their steak well done, cardboard hard, and fucking thin as a dime, because that's all that they personally can consume.
And if the chef makes his extremely rare steak for an audience that asked for a very well done steak, guess how long he's going to be in business there?
Yeah, exactly, man.
Hey, Dan Smots here. I'm taking a second to interrupt myself talking to talk about myself because, I don't get paid a penny for the hours and hours that I put into creating this show for you guys in your greedy little ears, and I've got a family to feed. To make that happen, I run my own media business called Goulash Media. If you have a need in anything from video production to graphic design to audio production and beyond, you can get it all for a painfully fair price at Goulash Media. In video, I do weddings, music videos, commercials, pageants, plays, etc., etc., etc. For design, I do photo editing, album art, logos, branding, business cards, merchandise, you name it. For audio, I do engineering, production, editing, jingles, and, well, podcasts. So if you've got a media need of any kind, or if you'd just like to give a little something back and help keep my children fed, check out all the endless options at my website, goulashmedia.net. That's goulash, Goulash, media.net, where we cater to the little guy with the big vision. Okay. Oh, you made another point that I had a note here about. It's gone. Yeah. Well, the thing that is crazy is like we are offended by words, but also words, especially now, are changing on a dime. Like you can wake up tomorrow and a word means something completely different culturally than what it meant before. And if you didn't get the memo and you go out and tweet something, or let's say you're in a coma for 10 months, you come out of that coma and you tweet one simple thing, it's probably going to offend somebody in a different way than it did 10 months ago. So how do you even police this?
Well, you know what? I don't think you need to police it so much as people need to understand that when they're going after with the pitchforks out and the flaming torches, when they're going after people who, didn't get the memo, that's what's wrong. It's like, you want to keep up. You want to understand what the modern day definitions of things are, but they're moving too fast. And people need to understand that. And they need to acknowledge that things do change over time. Like when James Gunn was making those tweets and he had some rape jokes in there, 10 years ago, everybody was making rape jokes. They were it was
cool. A rapey time.
It was a rapey time to be alive. He couldn't go out in the dark alley. So no, but I mean, seriously though, there were tons of jokes. Daniel Tosh had fucking rape jokes, man. Right. And he got a television series that's still on today. So that's the thing. It's like, I'm less concerned about policing the changing definitions of words than I am with people understanding that the context of words changes over time, and you can't attack people for what they said 5 years ago when the world was a different place. And not every, we don't have Doc Brown time travel. Right. Marty, get in the car. Somebody's pissed off about your tweet from 5 years ago. Right. That's the shit that we need to knock off.
Yeah. Yeah, and even Patton Oswalt, the super lefty that he is, had his joke about, he's like, I'm trying my hardest, you guys. I can just cut me a little bit of slack. Trannies was totally okay to say a couple years ago, and I'm doing the best I can. Just cut me some slack.
Exactly, man. Yeah, exactly. And now it's like, things change, times change, words change, cultural norms change.
Yeah.
So, fuck off. It's like, if we want this culture, it's like, that's the thing that drives me nuts. Not only is the left pushing the culture to change at breakneck speed, much more than it should, because again, it's this vocal minority for the most part that's pushing through all this bullshit change. Right. But they pressure to make these changes, and then when people do change, then they attack them for not changing 10 years in the past.
Right. Yeah, not that they should necessarily have to change to begin with, but there is no right answer in today's day and age. Once you have said once some utterance leaves your lips that somebody might rub somebody else the wrong way, that is in existence forever, and you cannot take anything back. There is no redeeming you. You're a terrible person.
Yep, and the way the media works too, they jump on the story, they blow it up, and then after that, even if it's wrong, it's already out there. Too late to change it. The reporting's out there. But man, I'm telling you, I think this is, while I hate it so much, I'm rooting for it to get even worse, because I think it's got to get worse before it gets better.
Yeah,
people are going to hit the wall very soon and be like, you know what, fuck all this shit off. I'm not going to deal with it anymore.
Yeah, I kind of feel the same. I feel like the issue is going to eventually come to a head where people are like, no, this is why Trump will be elected again.
Without a doubt.
We just don't want to walk on eggshells for 100% of our life. We just want to enjoy life a little bit while we're around.
And you're going to have better relations with people that are different than you if you don't have to worry about every single thing. Like, you want to know why so many black people feel that white people are awkward around them? It's not because white people are afraid of black people or
afraid of judgment from black people.
Yeah, you're afraid of saying the wrong thing. You're afraid of coming across as too afraid. So then you're just like super fucking awkward with them.
Right.
I'm saying the royal white you, not you particularly, or me particularly.
Yeah.
But you know what I mean? Like, when you're always conscious of it, you're gonna be weird, and black people are gonna sense that, and then they're gonna attribute that to white race hatred or whatever, and it's a natural way. I mean, if I go to meet some 95-year-old, I'm gonna be a little awkward because I'm like, how do I talk to this 95-year-old without losing her or making too many modern references to electricity?
Yeah, exactly. So let's touch briefly on the state of like Hollywood and movies and stuff like that, not just comedy. I mean, we're to this point where, if we have, trans people who are insisting that trans people are the only people who can play trans characters in a movie,
right? Yeah.
Which brings us back to, so can only racists play racists in movies, right, and can only murderers play murderers in movies? Where's that line? But also, I mean, we've got this push for like equality of outcomes type thing where we need to have more female CEOs, TV show stars, more video games with these diversities in them. What's your take on that?
Well, you know what, man? I think that it's all horseshit. I think the free market speaks. And you're seeing Black Panther did very well. People had an all-black cast. People loved it. It was a good movie. It's just, I think it simply comes down to make good content and don't worry about it. Let talent work itself out and don't worry about it. Right. The whole CEO issue with females, I am a subscriber to the Jordan Peterson theory on that, wherein, look, there are naturally some differences between men and women as far as drive, aggression, competitiveness. You also got women that are, you do take time off to raise a kid. You do take, there's a lot of things that the people on the left and feminists don't want to acknowledge as being a fact. And now you're going to see that even out more because more men are choosing to opt to stay home. So maybe you're going to see a rise in inequality that way, because I've got two friends that stay home right now and they're stay-at-home, fathers.
Sure.
But in general, I think it kind of works itself out naturally. And in regards to content, the free market will decide. Yeah. Black Panther was a good movie with an all-black cast for the most part that wasn't made just for black people. Mm-hmm. It was just made as a movie. And, we talked about Black Panther ourselves on a podcast of yours.
Yeah. Rotten potatoes.
Yeah. So
it's the Downers Club. You got to go sign for Patreon to get it. Sorry.
Yeah. Sorry, chumps. So, but overall a decent movie. And if you look at that compared to some of the other fare that had come out previously that was targeted just at black audiences that didn't do so well, it's pretty obvious why. When you're writing pandering content that's targeted at just one type of people, well, you're going to get shit turnout. You're not going to have the movies made that appeal to mass audiences. So
you're going to have Tyler Perry movies.
Yeah, exactly. Man. Garbage. Tyler Perry was, which I wonder why they are underrepresented in the Oscars when you have Tyler Perry headlining the submissions. Exactly. So yeah, free market's going to work all this out. I mean, the worry for me is that too much content is going to get promoted, and you see this happening in Hollywood, and it's been a great frustration to me with my career because as a straight white Irish man,
how dare you?
you're getting hired for a writing gig in Hollywood is unbelievably difficult now because all of the programs designed to get younger writers in or new writers in are called diversity programs. And I've had people tell me this to my face that, look, you can submit to the NBC Writers Workshop program, but you're not going to get in because they are looking primarily to build the diversity ranks up.
You're going to want to hit those tanning beds.
Yeah, right.
Hit those tanning beds and grow that beard out. See what happens.
Fucking Soul Man, baby.
That's right.
Thomas C. Howell, classic.
Yep.
But yeah, it's just frustrating because you see people get ahead that might, there's a difference between getting an opportunity wherein maybe you wouldn't before and just completely shutting out a class of people in lieu of just hiring people for the sake of hiring people that are of different diversities.
Yeah. Especially when it comes to like the CEO positions and things like that. It's like, what's your solution? I mean, maybe in movies we could stick some really bad actress into a man's part, a la, Ghostbusters, Ocean's 8.
Right, yeah.
Probably the new Lord of the Flies, all female cast, and Terminator, and all that fun stuff that they're doing with Hollywood. Like you can do that. It doesn't mean it's going to be good.
Right.
You could take.
And you should be allowed to acknowledge that it sucks.
Right, and you can take some homeless woman off the street and throw her into a CEO position. I mean, how well do you think that's going to go? There's a reason why people climb to a certain level.
If you're a fan of trading places, it works out really well. But yeah, exactly, man. In general, it's not going to work out so well. You need to have those people get where they are on their own, or like there's been some very good. I actually like the Charlize Theron movie where she was an action, like a spy action thing. That was pretty good, But yeah, Ghostbusters is a great example of garbage. This Ocean's 12 or Ocean's 8, whatever it was. Yeah. It's you're creating movies, and there's a lot of them coming out, especially targeted at women, which are just bad movies. And while I'm sure, go girl power, like I was saying before, how about you just make a good movie that appeals to everybody? And if it's well written, well acted, and you're not trying to shoehorn people into roles that they're not meant for, or that aren't generally going to appeal to somebody because not everybody wants to see an all-female action movie cast.
Yeah, it's not even necessarily about it being an all-female thing. It's about it being you're not writing a story about women. You're taking this story that had too many men in it, and you're saying, take the men out, put in the women, here's a new product, and expecting people to be like, good job, that's beautiful and brave of you.
Well, and also just, it's anytime you see these kind of movies, Ghostbusters or Ocean's 8, they're clearly trying to make a point that we are going to have all females because we're trying to push forth this concept of female empowerment. And that is going to weigh in on some level because it's like I said, it's pandering. It's making that the focal point of the movie rather than the story.
Right. Yeah. And then you've got in the aftermath of all these movies, Ghostbusters and Ocean's 8, and I'm sure there are others, but after the movie comes out and it flops, who do they blame? They like
the Hillary Clinton answer of what happened to the movie.
Right. Exactly. Like the Ocean's 8 ladies were saying that it's because there's too many straight white males that are reviewing movies. It's like, what do you want?
Yeah.
What? Yeah. So you're saying that is it? I don't know.
So not only do they have to make movies that have full female casts in them in an effort to even out equality, but now we have to hire on an entire staff of female film reviewers to make sure that the movies get great reviews. Does that even make any fucking sense? Like if it's if 50% of the audience is male, 50% is female, so we're gonna hire a whole new genre of critics just to cater to this one half? No, make a movie that appeals to both sides, or be happy with the amount of box office you got targeting half of the world. There you go. You got half the population targeted. You're not going to make as much money.
And with the new, what is it? A Wrinkle in Time, when that movie came out.
Oh, God, what a piece of shit, man. I watched that. It was terrible.
I haven't seen it, it's unfortunate because I really liked the book as a child, but I have not seen the movie based on the reviews. But it flopped, and then the director, who was a female, comes out and says it's because of all these sexist and racist people, because they had Oprah as like the main character. And it's like, this came out like a month after Black Panther. What the hell are you talking about? And after Get Out just won awards all over the place.
And after Oprah, I think was that after Oprah was getting her ass kicked and they're saying she should run for president. It's like, yeah, make up whatever excuse you want to make yourself help you sleep at night. But no, it was terrible. It was boring. It was funny. This is what I tweeted about it when I was watching. I was like, it's amazing when you can take a movie that's based in a fantastic land full of, magic and mystery and dragons and animals and make it the most boring damn movie you've ever seen. And that's what they did. And the visual effects were terrible too. Terrible. Yeah. Awful.
It's a damn shame. So, yeah. So let's wrap up with social media and all this censorship. We've got Alex Jones going down. We've got what's his face, Nazi dog guy.
Count Dankula.
This is kind of an honor of Count Dankula. My dogs are literally Hitler shirt. But what's your thought on I mean, everybody's talked about this lately, but I feel like we should touch on it a little bit. What's your thought on all these people pulling Alex Jones on the same day and shutting him up with his message?
That's clearly there was clearly a coordinated effort, and the question is who spearheaded it. It was CNN, was it somebody else in the media empire? I don't know, but you just don't have all these companies banning him on the same day without there being conversation in advance. And he hasn't done anything in particular to warrant that he hasn't been doing for the past 10 years. So, I mean, I think it's scary. Private platform can do what they want to do, but hopefully there's a free market solution that pops up that's going to solve it, where you can go and not have to worry about having your content pulled. But yeah, I mean, it's terrifying, and it shows you, though, it really showcases how completely dominant left-thinking people are in regards to technology and social media. And that's the scariest of all. People don't want to acknowledge it, but if you have people that are of one mind controlling all of the world's most powerful communication platforms, you have a big, big problem. And, as far as the free market goes, I'm hoping that it'll be solved when people kind of wake up to that fact. Yeah. And we'll see what happens, because I don't have an easy solution for it.
If you had a prediction, what would you say would probably happen first? The bottoming out of YouTube, or the, I don't know, or them caving in and allowing people like Alex Jones come back on their platform?
I would guess, I think Facebook is going to bottom out quickly. I actually think Facebook's on the way down. I wouldn't be surprised if in the next couple of years, Facebook's kind of a thing of the past. YouTube will stick around for a while, but I think that they will alter their censoring of people. I think that they'll be forced to. And I think there'll be another platform that'll spring up. I think that's probably in the works right now. I guarantee you that people are seeing an opportunity. And, if you're David taking on Goliath, you don't hold the rock, man. Got to throw that thing. So I'm hoping that someone's going to throw the rock very soon.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I said on our forum when the Alex Jones thing went down, I was like, this is stupid for them, but this can only be good for everybody else. Like, I'm looking around trying to find other places to go. There's a bunch of different platforms, but not a lot of users for those platforms yet. We need somebody like Alex Jones to, not that I agree with all of his stuff, obviously, but we need somebody like that who's a heavy hitter to say, hey, this place, I endorse this, and they're allowing me to stay when YouTube wouldn't. I'll jump ship immediately. I'm there. Whatever it is, I'll go.
Well, you know what, man? We got
probably the next one.
The Overstock CEO, which Overstock's changing their model anyway to, I think they're going more into crypto, but that guy's got billions of dollars. How about he tries to develop a new platform? How about that? How about turn overstock.com into social media? Forget the whole sales thing, So there's people out there doing it, or Thiel, get Peter Thiel involved.
Yeah,
there's people out there that have the wherewithal to do it. So hopefully they're something in the mix. And we've got enough social media people to push them in that direction at this point.
Sure, right on. So final questions. Let me see. Can you name some classic movies that would not be allowed to be made in today's culture?
Oh my God. Any movie with Burt Reynolds in it? You think I'm joking, but I'm not. Burt Reynolds, there was so much chauvinism in those movies, sexism, some would say. And also, I swear to God, Burt Reynolds slaps a woman in every movie. Every one. So that definitely wouldn't be made.
And the women all look back and swoon on him now because they don't go back and watch the movies.
Yeah, precisely. But without a doubt, that wouldn't be made. I mean, I'm trying to think of other examples of films that wouldn't be made today, because there's a million movies. While I watch them, I go, oh, this would never fly.
Blazing Saddles?
Yeah, Blazing Saddles definitely wouldn't be made. Mongo. I like rape, murder, arson, and rape. He said rape twice. I like rape. Funniest line in the movie. Yep. And, of course, we're the white women out. So, yeah, man, I mean, there's endless examples of any movie. I'd say almost any movie made between 1950 and 1987. Some Like It Hot, the classic. You wouldn't be able to make that anymore. Two guys dressing up like women to get through. I mean, I doubt they'd even allow that to happen, as innocent as it was.
Oh, they would allow it to happen, but they'd have to be transsexuals.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
How about do you think something as mild as like Tropic Thunder would be allowed, with a white guy playing an Australian guy playing a black guy?
Good question.
Who went on to become Iron Man shortly thereafter?
Yeah, I don't even know. I don't even know if they'll let that go through. I would say no.
Yeah.
Which is a shame. And that's kind of the main crux of the point, though, is that when you have all these people worried about their jobs, worried about careers, you are censoring some of the most memorable moments in cinematic history. Right. You're preemptively neutering them.
Right.
All
those things that we quote, those are going to be taken out.
Yeah, it's going to be gone. It's like I said, it's going to get worse before it gets better, but hopefully it gets better soon.
Yeah. Well, with the new like them doing the remakes of all the Disney cartoons as live action things now, what do you think that the new Lion King movie is going to get hit for? Is it going to be that Rafiki sounds like a black guy and he's also a monkey?
Good question. I don't know, man. I didn't even know they were making a live action Lion King.
Yeah, That's what I heard.
Interesting. No, I don't know. I can't remember enough of it to say, but I'm wondering if they remake Aladdin, what race is the genie going to be?
Yeah, there's already outrage about that. Like one of the guys is a little too white or something, but he's, I don't know, Hispanic, or he wasn't exact. Right. I don't know. And it's like, we're not even talking about real people here. We're talking about you're comparing a human to a cartoon character, and you're getting mad that he's playing it as a slightly different rate. It's just so retarded.
You know what I'm waiting to see, man, and I don't know why this hasn't happened, but remember that movie The Hours with Nicole Kidman?
I've not seen it.
No, it's not worth watching. But she plays a very ugly woman. Same thing with like Monster with Charlize Theron. They make these super hot chicks real ugly, defeating the point, by the way. Aren't these women famous because they're super hot in the first place, for being honest with ourselves? But I'm surprised we haven't seen more ugly rights movements spring up. If you have an ugly character in a movie, it should be played by an ugly person. Quasimodo, go find a guy with a hump and a slanty stroke eye. Get him in there. Enough of this makeup.
Yeah, it's like, where's the line between you need to have an ugly person in the movie playing the ugly person because they can relate to ugly people more, and between that and condemning people for having ugly people playing ugly people because that's discriminatory to ugly people because they're playing an ugly person. It's like, do you see where this goes if you take it out to its fullest conclusion?
I tell you, man, I wanted to make a movie because I was watching Willow the other day, and I doubt. And by the way, Willow, another movie that would not be made today.
I have not seen it.
Oh, well, sorry. I know what you watch it tonight, man. It's amazing, but it's all about midgets or little people, however you want to call them.
Is that the one with what's his face from Star Wars?
Yeah, Warwick Davis.
Yeah.
And young Val Kilmer. It's an awesome movie, Lucasfilm. But I was like, God, I'd love to make a new midget hero movie with all little people in it, and there's no way it would fly. They'd never allow it to happen.
Yep.
They'd call it exploitative, even though it'd be fucking rad.
Yeah. And they had the newest Willy Wonka movie that came out like 10 years ago. That was with one midget playing.
He wasn't even duplicated. A midget, really.
Was he not? I don't even know.
Well, he was little. He was a little person, but he was more. He wasn't like the traditional midget with the dwarfism, the extreme dwarfism. But yeah, exactly. They just cloned him by CGI. It was terrible.
Right. Think of all the midgets they were taking jobs away from.
Right.
With technology. Anyway, let's wrap it up there. Brian, you got any final thoughts on where you think the future of comedy is going to be and this whole political correctness garbage that is just making it shine?
The future of comedy can be found at Electric Liberty Land every Wednesday at the Lions of Liberty podcast.
Set it up. You knock it down.
Yeah, man. People, it's going to, you know what? You just might see a lot more return to actual comedy clubs. And that would be interesting because they were huge in the 80s and in the 90s. Then things kind of went to TV and online. I think wherever you're going to see the least amount of censorship which probably will be comedy clubs which don't allow the recording. They don't allow people to bust in and up the joint and cause a havoc with their PC bullshit. I think you actually may see a lot more of that. People want to go somewhere where they can enjoy themselves, they can laugh at jokes, and they don't have to worry about being judged for it. And that might mean the return of the actual comedy club to mainstream popularity again.
Yeah, it'd be a good inconvenient, but a good good problem. Yeah. I enjoy watching from my comfortable chair here, but if it comes to that, I'll get back out into the clubs. No problem. All right. Well, Brian, go ahead and give an official plug for your show. Let everybody know where they can find out about Electric Liberty Land and everything you got going on.
Sure. Well, I pulled back from Twitter a bit because of the recent horse shit, but you can follow me on Twitter at Brian McWilliams, Brian with an I. I am one of the founders of Lions of Liberty. We got a three-way show, a lot of sex. We got a variety show format. So we have a show on Monday that focuses on libertarian leaders. We have my show Wednesday, which is current events, and then John Odermatt on Friday talking about the criminal justice system. And you can find lionsofliberty.com. My show's Electric Liberty Land. And otherwise, if you're in LA, follow me on Facebook and you can come to a comedy show sometime.
Right on. Well, Brian, it's been a pleasure as always. And as always, you're more than welcome here anytime you like. And hopefully we can do some more South Park reviews in the very near future.
Hell yeah, man. Well, thank you for having me back on The System is Down. Congratulations. This podcast has really grown. I applaud your efforts and great content, man.
Hey guys, thanks for sticking around to the end. I hope you enjoyed it as much as I did. You know I did, and you know that I always do enjoy these conversations. Brian is a great guy. He's a funny guy. I would highly recommend going and checking out his show. Again, it's Electric Liberty Land, which is a part of the Lions of Liberty podcast. So go look up Lions of Liberty on anywhere podcasts are found and check out their Wednesday show, Electric Liberty Land, and all their other shows because they're all great. But if you enjoyed this, you'll definitely enjoy that because Brian covers a lot of culture, comedy, and liberty, a lot of current events and things that are going on, a lot of the stuff that we talk about here on If the System is Down as well. So go check that out. And again, the question of the day was, is there a line that you should not cross when it comes to comedy? Is there any topic that should not be addressed or talked about or joked about or poked fun at? If you have an answer to that question, if you're watching this on YouTube or on some video platform, just leave your response in a comment below, or you can go over to the System is Down forum, join the forum, and you can ask me and Brian both questions directly. We're both members of the forum, so just post a comment in there and tag us in it. You can find the forum. It's absolutely free. You can find it by going to tsidpod.com/forum. Get in there. It's a great time. It's a bunch of weirdos being weirdos, and just we have some fun. We get a little controversial, and there are no joke boundaries in the System is Down forum, I will say, unless Facebook decides that you've crossed the line, which I can't do anything to stop that. There is coming a point, I would think it's safe to say, a day cometh when the System is Down on Facebook will be no more, because we will probably find that line and then we will happily step right over it and deal with the consequences of our actions, because say what you want to say, we are the Uncomfortable Conversations podcast. If there was a topic that should not be talked about or that was taboo and people didn't like us talking about it, doesn't that just prove that we should be talking about it, since that's the whole point of the show? It's coming. It's coming, mark my words. Guarantee it. It's coming. And if the forum is not quite weird enough for you, if you need more weird in your life, or if the Monday show is not enough for you, if you need more discomfort in your life, then think about supporting the show by going to patreon.com/The System is Down and joining the Downers Club for as little as $5 a month, and you will get multiple bonus episodes of this show every single week. How can you beat that? That's like, you could literally walk around staring at the ground for a month and come up with $5 in loose change. So it's basically free. It's basically free. And we've got a lot of people over there who are, we've got a Downers Club forum as well. So if you want a little bit more weirdness in your life, go sign up for that and you can chat with the even weirder folks. Such as, we had somebody sign up this week. Let me find it. Let me find it. That's the level of commitment I have. I'm going to find this while recording and not edit any of it out. Chris Knoll. Chris Knoll just signed up for $5 a month on Patreon. Chris, thank you so much for your support. I greatly appreciate it, more than I could possibly say. Thank you, and welcome to the other side, the upside down. And to everybody else who's in the Downers Club, thank you guys so much for your support as well, of course. And to all of you who listen for free, you're still doing a great service, and I appreciate every single one of you just for your appreciation of the show. Getting the word out there. Every listen, every free download that you download boosts our numbers and boosts our credibility and puts us in the ears of more people and helps get the word out there. So I appreciate you all very much. This week, go out and speak with somebody about I guess this topic, the topic of comedy, and if there is a line, and if they say that there is a line, ask them what it is, and just talk about it. That's all. If you're new here, the point of this show is to change the world one uncomfortable conversation at a time and prove that we can have discourse and not hatred at the same time. So go out, talk to somebody. That's key. And while you're at it, in your downtime, while you're sitting in your office cubicle at work, twiddling your thumbs because you have nothing better to do, just go like, share, subscribe to the show on iTunes, YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, all that stuff. Just share this link, share whatever you can find with others, and, help us build this thing, because it's building every week, and I would love for it to build a little faster, because I have plans for ways to ramp up the production of this show in the very near future, but everything costs money. So, every little bit helps. Every little bit will help this show become a better listening and viewing pleasure and experience for you. So, yeah, let's get the word out. I appreciate you guys all so very much, and I'm gonna play something here at the end. If you stuck around this long through all that rambling nonsense at the end, then you clearly are a little bit masochistic. But I do have a video clip that I want to play here at the end. If you're watching on YouTube, otherwise it'll just be audio, obviously. But it's Patrice O'Neal defending the right to make off-color offensive jokes. And Patrice died a few years back. Rest in peace. He was fantastic, and his dedication to the idea of free speech and comedy has yet to be surpassed, and I think it's a good way to wrap up this show. So I hope you guys enjoy it. This is going to be Patrice O'Neal. He's on Fox News debating with some lady who I don't know, but it's a good conversation. All that said, if you'll have me, I'll be right back here like a caterpillar in a cocoon nestled deeply into your ear canal first thing next Monday morning with some conversations that are less comfortable than having a caterpillar cocoon nestled into your ear canal. So until then, ladies and gentlemen, question everything, stand comfortable, check out some Patrice. I'll see you guys next time. Thanks.
So, next up on the chopping block, XM satellite radio DJs Opie and Anthony. They're under fire now for airing joking comments about raping Secretary of State Condoleezza Rice. Will they be the next to go? Is radio cleaning house after the Imus debacle? With me now, New City President Sonia Osorio. She took part in a recent protest calling for radio stations to stop supporting negative language in music and talk radio, and also our favorite stand-up comic, Patrice O'Neal.
Oh, thank you, sir.
Patrice, are O&A next?
I hope not. I wish JV and Elvis didn't lose their job or Imus. It's funny. This is the thing. I don't know her, but I'm assuming that she has nothing to do with funny. So I'm gonna speak as the expert on funny. Funny people should just be left to trying to be funny.
What if they're not funny?
Then you made a mistake. But how many times has how many unfunny rape jokes lead to rape. Like,
I don't know how many jokes about rape there are.
there's a lot, but your world is not funny. Your world is next on the big story. My world is people trying to be funny.
Well, I mean, you think it's okay to try to make jokes about rape?
I'm diabetic. I make fun of that. I'm a victim. I might lose a toe. But I'm trying to make fun of. I'm trying to make fun of anything I think I can make fun of.
Sonia?
You know, what's happening now is the marketplace is deciding what's appropriate or what's not appropriate. I think the nation is just tired. There's a new mood in the nation.
What nation?
The nation. You know what? We're tired of things that are just
the nation, this
hurtful,
paper, and you?
hurtful,
I'm not the nation. I'm just speaking for me and funny. You're speaking for the nation, or are you speaking for...
Yeah, you know why? Because I remember 6 years ago doing something against Anthony Openy because they were just so outrageous, and their violent images that they put out to women was just uncalled for. And now I think people...
You think they were trying to be funny?
I think now people in this country...
Do you think they were trying to be funny?
Tired. You know what? I don't care if they were trying to be funny.
That's what I'm saying. Why are you in that business?
I've been to your show once, and it wasn't very funny being a woman.
It was
in your
hilarious.
Show, when you talked about...
That's why she doesn't like me. I was in the paper with her, and the joke is hilarious, called The Angry Pirate. And the lady who wrote it in her outrage didn't even know what it meant, and anybody who read it laughed, because they know what funny... You're not living in the context of funny. You're living in the context of fired.
Have every right to be as funny as they want. They can go out and try to be as funny as they want, make as much money being as funny as they want. This is what's happening. There is a change in this country. People are realizing they have an opportunity to speak out, and advertisers are listening. Radio stations are listening.
Sonia,
you're not talking to who I talk to.
And you're not going to get paid as much money anymore.
Sonia and Patrice,
that's
look
what
at
it
this.
is. The marketplace
More
is
CBS
speaking.
radio firings. They've been on a tear lately.
All right.
Are they cleaning house, or is this the PC cops run amok?
You know what it is, John. You know what it is while you're reading that paper. It's the PC cops run amok.
Do you think she's a PC cop?
Of course she is. She has an entire encyclopedia of her stance on it, but it's no passion involved. It's not a real... This is just what she has to say. We are outraged and fired and fired and fired. Name calling. I'm outraged. I am outraged.
You should be outraged.
I am a fool. Now, if I called you a fool,
You know what? People are feeling a new sense of entitlement.
Who are these
to
people
decency in this country?
Who are the people?
A new
How can
sense
you,
of entitlement
Patrice,
to
here's my question. How can you justify a bad joke, a joke that isn't funny? Oh, wait a minute.
Go ahead.
An attempt that isn't funny, doesn't get any laughs, and is about raping the first black woman to ever become the Secretary of State of the United States.
Don't throw that at me.
Well, why not?
The attempt is what I'm trying to fight for. The joke funny jokes and unfunny jokes are come out of the same birth. You don't know if anything is going to be funny. You should attempt to be able to make anything funny.
Don't you think a joke about rape is doomed to be not funny?
It's possible, but I've heard them.
You've heard a funny rape joke?
I say a couple. Watch my HBO special. I'm pretty good at it.
Yeah, Patrice says that if you're having sex with a woman, doggy style, and if you hit her in the head just the right time.
No, it's ejaculate in her eye and kick her in the shin, and she walks around like, arg! It's the angry pirate. That's what she was trying to say.
A violent act of hitting her in the back of her head, her body.
It's called the donkey punch.
Which will then...
Why are you laughing? She's outraged. It's called the donkey punch. It's whole humor that she has no clue what it is.
You have the same problem that Opie and Anthony does. You can't say just anything on the air.
You can say anything you want. It might not be funny. You might get in trouble for it, but you should be able to be attempting. And plus, when is a crazy bum going to get an opportunity to rape the president? If the president's wife, John? It was trying to be funny.
All right.
This has been a Goulash Media production. GoulashMedia.net.
Oh, and in case I don't see you, good afternoon, good evening, and good night.